Hello again. I'm back with another reading from Just a Simple Carpenter. Today we will read chapter 13. This is the last chapter of this short story. I hope you have enjoyed it. And with no further ado, chapter 13 of Just a Simple Carpenter. We returned to Nazareth that day, and Jesus continued to grow. He grew strong, intelligent, witty. He grew in his ability to communicate with people. The skills I had seen in him as he brothered his siblings, brothers and sisters alike, grew prominent. The wisdom that I heard from his mouth as he questioned and answered the teachers of the law revealed itself even more after that day. He even amazed me working in the shop how delicately he could shape a piece of wood until it no longer remained a piece of wood, but an intricately designed, usable piece of furniture. I laughed when he presented the children of town with small wooden dolls he had fashioned from the scraps on the shop floor. Not only did the child's eyes come alive with excitement, but the doll Jesus had offered seemed to live in the hands of the expectant recipient. Jesus grew in his physical, mental, and even his spiritual strength. I proudly watched as he grew. I often put my arm around Mary's shoulder, and we would stand in the doorway and watch our brood. Then my eyes would light upon Jesus and my heart would soar. Looking Mary in the eye, I could see that she too continued to sing the melody placed in her heart the night the angel announced that she was to be the mother of the Son of the Most High. This was a song that crescendoed at the stable the night the angels proclaimed his birth to shepherds on a lowly Bethlehem hillside. A song that I could only grasp the edges of as the one chosen to guide his early years. Zechariah is the priest. He's the one to ask about the things of God. I did ask one day, and he replied obscurely, "Who knows the ways of God?" We do not question. We accept and are blessed. He spoke from experience, I know, because the time the old priest questioned was a time filled with struggle of inability to communicate. How difficult that time must have been. And still God's way triumphed. Why does God do the things he does? Choose who he does? Work wonders for our eyes to behold? I do not know. I'm just a simple carpenter. What I do know is that God chose me for a special task to be the husband of my beloved Mary and to provide a stable home for his son. I know that God took great effort in communicating to both Mary and me through his angels. He wanted us to know that, as unusual as the circumstances were, we had been exalted, lifted up, set apart. We were his servants, and he blessed us with a special task. What would have happened if I had gone through with my plans to divorce Mary because of her obvious infidelity? I suspect that God would have found a way to provide the home structure for Jesus that he had intended through me. I would have been the only casualty. Friend, let me advise you. Listen to the angels that speak to you. Follow the ways of God. Even when they seem abnormal, God can give you so much more than you expect, even if you're just a simple carpenter like me. The end. Now, I added an author's note that I think is appropriate to read to you here. Our knowledge of Joseph often makes him a difficult character to understand. The earthly father of Jesus, he made his living as a carpenter, as we see in Matthew 13:55. which means that he made yokes for oxen, plows, and other tools. He also produced doors and lattice work for homes, as well as furniture and ladders. Many carpenters would have become extremely skilled in the decorative artworking and etching that adorned the woodwork and some of the furniture. However, most of their work would have been hired by people who could afford only the bare essentials: a plain table with chairs or benches, utilitarian tools which required little or no fancy decoration. The tools of the carpenter would have been crude examples of modern tools: rough blades made from bronze or iron, and hammers made of wood. The scriptures hardly make mention of Joseph. In order to see into his character, we must read Matthew 1:19. The description here boils down to a word which can be translated in keeping with the character of God. Most translators use the word just or righteous to render this adjective. It indicates that, like his ancestor David, Joseph was a man after God's own heart. In this story, I have attempted to show that righteousness in the love of Joseph has for his wife Mary. I've also striven to remain true to the scriptures. As in any fictional work, Just a Simple Carpenter takes great license in issues that are not part of the scripture. At any point where the narrative might be faulty in its accuracy, the error lies with the limited knowledge of the author, and not with the author of life, who inspired the Holy Scriptures, which I've tried to bring to life in this work. I hope you've enjoyed it. I stopped the narrative at an obscure time, which is some point after Jesus' encounter with the teachers in the temple on the Passover of his 12th year. This is the last mention we have of Joseph in the Bible. Traditionally, scholars have concluded that the carpenter probably died at some point not many years following this event. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. And if you enjoy this hope through reading Christmas during this time of devastation, join us again as I'll try to find another Christmas story to share with you.